Arkansas and Mississippi State get set to do battle Saturday afternoon in Fayetteville. We are here previewing, predicting, and breaking down this game between the Hogs and the Dogs. Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Phillips. He's Cole the Bear Thompson. We appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. As always, before we get going, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube, guys. We are inching ever so close to that 30,000 subscriber mark. We can't do it without your love and support. Also, make sure you check out our friends over at FanDuel because, as always, we are brought to you by our friends at FanDuel, FanDuel.com/SECU to join today and get started with $250 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet. Once again, that's FanDuel.com/SECU to get in on the action today. Well, somebody's got to win an SEC game. It's November the 1st, and we got a pair of defeated teams. Again, someone has to notch their first SEC win. Is it going to be the Arkansas Razorbacks, or is it going to be the Mississippi State Bulldogs? Folks, welcome to the preview that probably none of you are watching, or maybe all of you are watching. It's not the game of the weekend, but it very well may end up being the game of the weekend. Simply put, folks, this one's going to be wacky. This one's going to be weird. Arkansas, Mississippi State set to do battle down in Fayetteville. A pair of programs felt like lost in the wilderness right now. But either way, SEC Unfiltered is here. We are here previewing, predicting, breaking down this game. Make up whatever funny nickname you want about this one. Call it the crap bowl. Call it the toilet bowl. Whatever it is, it's Hogs and Dogs on a Saturday afternoon. Hey, in the middle of the summer when we have no college football, we'd give anything to have a showdown like this. Don't you lie to me and say differently. Anyways, I'm Chris Phillips. He's Cole the Bear Thompson. Let's talk about this game, Bear. What's going on, man?
I have told you this multiple times already. I will say it again. When we come back on Sunday for Sunday Fun Day, there is nothing more I want than to lead the show off with this game because it was the best game of the weekend. It was the most exciting game of the weekend. It had everything from pick sixes to punt return for touchdowns to quarterbacks diving over the pylon to make sure they get their way on in. We got a 6 overtime. I want this to be the game that we salivate over because I can tell you what, there are very few things that I love about college football more than two teams desperate for a win in conference play, desperate to fix something that goes right for their team, leaving it all out on the line, and we still get a terrible performance. I love crap football. I love it more than I actually love good football because if you want to know what, it just is going to get nuts. In the great words of Michael Keaton playing Bruce Wayne, you want to get nuts? Let's go to Fayetteville. He said that in the movie. I can't quote him exactly, but he said that in the movie. I promise you that.
Yeah, Bear, this is the shit bowl. This is the who is less ass bowl. The greatest thing about this game is someone not only gets to, but has to feel good about themselves come around 6:30 or 7 o'clock Central on Saturday night because somebody has to win this game. Somebody has to get an SEC win, but this game truly is the shit bowl. Who is less shit and who is more shit, Arkansas or Mississippi State? And I say that with love. But that is what this game is. All in all, it's going to lead to some hella dramatics. It's going to lead to a hella game, I believe. This game taking place Saturday afternoon, 3 o'clock Central on the SEC Network down in Fayetteville at DWR Razorback Stadium. Bear, via our friends over at FanDuel, Arkansas is a 4.5-point favorite. The over-under is set at 67.5. Arkansas leads this all-time series over Mississippi State, 19-14-1. And the last meeting came, of course, last year. Arkansas won that game by a final score of 58-25. Bear, I do want to highlight, too, as we're talking about, you know, the type of ball game that this game could produce. Bear, I'm sure you're familiar with this. This series has produced some just strange games. And Mississippi State has fared decently well, especially recently, against the Hogs. I mean, they beat them back-to-back years in 22 and 23. Bear, who can forget the 23 game? 7-3 was the final. Mississippi State beat Arkansas in Fayetteville. 7-3, might I add you. So they've had some wacky contests. These games seem to always be weird. This is one of those old classic SEC West showdowns. So, again, expect more of the same when it comes to this ball game. And Bears, we look on the field, obviously dive in this game. I think the big question for me, Taylon Green and his bounce back. What's the bounce back look like for Taylon Green? You had that game, it felt like in hand, under control against Auburn. it felt like you just, let's call it for what it is. You choked in that game. You choked. Give Auburn credit, but you choked that ball game away. Taylor Green with 3 interceptions. He wasn't able to do much of anything with his legs. 7 carries, 14 yards. Bear, it's the understatement of the century, but that 2 a.m. cigarette that you love to puff on, he's got to come through if Arkansas is going to win this football game.
Mississippi State looked good last week at times. Now, they found a way also, much like Arkansas, to give it back to Texas, but they looked good last week. Blake Shapen, 4 touchdowns on the day. Kamario Taylor found his way into the end zone. He didn't run the football officially, but nobody really does that against Texas. Davin Booth had some big-time plays. Brendan Thompson had some big-time plays. Seydou Traore had a couple of big-time grabs. So Mississippi State is not a team that you want to mess around with. And I will say this. Mississippi State has got to show you that once again, its offense can come through and close. But it is Taylor Green. And again, Taylor Green, he is my muse. He is my mitts. He is my I can't quit you type of moment, like Brokeback Mountain type of stuff. Like I'm all in when it comes to, I cannot stop thinking about Taylor Green playing with a certain system that is going to end up benefiting him. And then you look at some of the throws, and that was the crazy part, is that he had the big 50-yard pass downfield to Rohan Jones. It was right there, and he can't capitalize. You have a couple of big-time passes over to Omega Blake. He fumbles the football, and then you rush. I mean, this to me is, again, when you're seeing Taylor Green play in his element, he may be the second best quarterback in the SEC. When he plays out of his element, he's one of the worst improvisers, and he's certainly not able to handle the pressure of being able to give strikes downfield. So it's a big game for the offensive lines on both sides. It's a big game for Arkansas's offensive line because you got to make sure that Taylor Green has time to throw. But you are right. This really does come down to one person, number 10. Is number 10 going to be perfect, or is he going to be a dud? And if he's a dud, I mean, Mississippi State, they are good enough to where it feels like even though you haven't gotten a conference win in 2 years, you are seeing the progress of Mississippi State. And I don't want to talk like this in some, glass half full optimistic type of stuff, but they do look good enough to be able to win SEC games. They're just not able to close on out. Arkansas, you can close on out with, and you can close on out with them in the third quarter for all we know.
Forgive me for chuckling, Bear, when you said that not a conference win in 2 years. We
got to talk about that, by the way, because
this is it. Look, and I'm glad you went there. It's a huge game for Jeff Lebby, man. It's a huge game for Jeff Lebby. You've mentioned it a couple times, and amidst this coaching carousel, craziness and all these jobs opening up, and I'm not saying it's going to happen. I don't know for certain, but Bear, you've made a great point many times. Listen, you got this game at Arkansas. It's a winnable football game for you, State. Then you got Georgia at Mizzou and the Egg Bowl. And I know the Egg Bowl, anything can happen. I understand it, but Ole Miss is what they are. What is the status of Bo Perbula still? You got to go to Como. That's a really good team. And then you ain't beating Georgia. I don't give a damn. You ain't beating Georgia. There, if they go 0-8 in conference play again, you're going to have some conversations about Jeff Lebby.
Whether or not we get, again, you can talk about progress. You can talk about potential growth in this, in the offense and the defense kind of turning a corner. At the same time, guys, it does come down to wins. Boosters aren't paying millions of dollars to let go of a coaching staff to then hire you to not get wins. They're not doing that. They're bringing you in to change the culture long term. And changing the culture means eventually getting victories. And yeah, you're looking good offensively. And yeah, I think that there are some pieces to where you say Jeff Lebby, if you give him you give him one more year to build more of his staff in place, certainly there's a conversation to have. But at the same time, there are coaches out there that you believe maybe are a little bit more proven, maybe have a little bit more upside, maybe have a little bit of a spark that is missing to your team right now that are going to be on the market, and they may not be next year. And so with all of these jobs that are moving around, Arkansas, potentially we're going to see, LSU being on open. Ole Miss potentially could be on open, especially because of if something happens to Lane Kiffin. Florida being open. Kentucky's going to open. I think Auburn's going to open. What about Texas? What about Missouri if one of the two teams steal drink away? All these other programs are opening up in the SEC. You've got to give yourself an opportunity to feel like that you're doing enough to where your team has some identity going into next year. And it comes with wins. And this is a game that already has a coach that is basically just trying to ruin life for everybody, because if he knows that he's not going to be Arkansas's long-term answer. But it also comes down to they find ways to lose games. You find ways to lose games. On paper, you're probably as equal as a roster this season. And there have been some moments to where you feel like that this is where it all comes together. Well, now you kind of have to come together. Because I don't know if I'm a booster going to write another check for $500,000 to help with the program that I'm going to be willing to pay for a coach that's 0-16 in conference play. I just don't know if I want to do that.
Yeah, Bear, especially when you factor in, you've had two great opportunities against Tennessee and Texas on your home field in overtime. And at some point, you're right. When is being close not good enough anymore? And especially, too, if we're talking about going up against an Arkansas team that, being close against Texas and Tennessee is one thing. You're not going to be able to sell, well, we were close to Arkansas, who had already fired their coach. There's none of that, which leads me to, Cole, this feels like a whoever has the ball last type of game wins, and this feels like a game that I hope and pray in the fourth quarter it's tied or a field goal or whatever, because both of these teams choke. They're both coming off of choke jobs in their own way. So it's like one of them has to clutch up, right? Or is it just going to be a comedy of errors in the fourth quarter where somebody's going to lose this football game more than somebody's going to go out and win this football game? This game has got drunk potential. It's got nonsensical potential. It feels like the flow and vibe of this game, though, is going to be points, a lot of points, back and forth. And, again, potentially whoever has the ball last, I think, could be the one that wins it.
The two things I'm looking for in this game both end up coming off of Arkansas. For me, it's Arkansas's defense getting after Blake Shapen. We saw Texas late in the fourth quarter be able to get after Blake Shapen, force some punts. Ball came back into Texas's favor. They jumped out to a tie. They jumped out to a lead in overtime. They got the big-time sack by Ethan Burke for the strip. Arkansas's defense is going to have to get after Blake Shapen. They're going to have to force him to make mistakes. If they do that in their backyard, it could be a very long day for the Bulldogs offense. On the flip side, I'm looking at Arkansas's offense. Brother, the turnovers have got to stop. And this is not a just Taylon Green thing. Taylon Green's not the only one fumbling or coughing at the football. Omega Blake had a big fumble last week that should have been for a gain of 17. And instead, Xavier Atkins is able to rip that thing on out and he goes the other way. We talk about the game against Memphis. You had the big fumble. All you got to do is just make sure that you don't fumble inside the red zone and you win the football game. You set your kicker up for an easy score, but Washington can't hold on to the ball. So it's little things like that that go so far. Critical errors of a drop pass or a juggled ball that is bouncing for 6 or 7 yards downfield. And there comes a Mississippi State defender that goes ahead and grabs out of the air and runs it back. We can't see that stuff. If that doesn't happen, I think Arkansas wins this football game. But the crazy part is I could see both things happening. I could see Tennessee. I could easily see Arkansas having 5 turnovers in this game, but somehow, some way, they force 2 or 3 turnovers, and that gets them in a short field position to where they get the kicker out there and he gets 3.
Bear, that being said, let's just get right to it. Let's lock in some picks and predictions for this one. Somebody's got to go out there and win their first SEC game. Who's it going to be, Arkansas or Mississippi State? You want me to start or you want the honors?
Yeah, you're going to start.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, this is the toilet bowl. I mean this with all due respect to both sides. I got nothing but love for the Hogs and the Dogs and both these fan bases, but I know y'all agree with me. I wonder what the crowd's going to be like in Fayetteville on Saturday. I wonder what the weather's going to be like, too. I haven't checked it. I just wonder what the atmosphere is for a ball game like this. Best chance to win an SEC game that Jeff Lebby and company have had. There's no doubt. It's a very winnable game for them. Like I said, I think both offenses are going to shine in this one. This feels like a who has the ball last type of game wins. And the entertainment value, if we do get late in the second half, late in the fourth quarter, and it's a tie game, just, again, which one of these teams is going to clutch up or is going to blow it. This feels like a game somebody's going to lose it versus somebody really winning it. I mean, you hear the old adage, more football games are lost than are won. If you get it, you get it. I think this could be another one very similar to that where we're talking about, man, X team had it right there and just somehow blundered this game away, and so came out with the victory. And you don't really feel good about either side, whoever the winner is even coming out, but you're like, somebody had to win it, I suppose. I do agree with you big for Jeff Lebby again from the standpoint. You lose to an interim head coach and you lose the most winnable probably SEC game of your tenure and you're on the path to 0-16 in 2 years. even if you're back in 2026, it's going to be very, very, very uncomfortable for you. That being said, the best player on the football field, I think, this weekend is Taylon Green. And I'm going to take Taylon Green to bounce back, find a way on his home field. I love the over in this ball game, Bear. Like I mentioned, I think the team that has the ball last is going to win this game. Again, I don't think this game is going to make a lot of sense. I think this game is going to be wacky, but I'm going to go Arkansas. Give me Hogs 42, Mississippi State 34. High-scoring game, fun, entertaining game. And who know it, the shit bowl delivers. Arkansas gets an SEC win, and Jeff Lebby sent home packing with yet again another close SEC loss. I went back and forth on it, but I'll tell you this, Bear. Here's the bottom line for me. Mississippi State, I went out on a limb last week and picked you, and you made me look like a damn fool. I cannot side with you again. You'll have to prove me wrong. Give me Arkansas to win this game 42-34.
I believe that this is going to be the best game of the weekend for all the wrong reasons. It is going to be a game that we talk about because of just how topsy-turvy, back and forth, wacky, and upside down it gets on Saturday. And you know what? I'm all here for it. I'm all here for it for our friend like Jackson Darr. I'm all here for it for my state people, who, by the way, cannot wait to add an MSU helmet. Would love to get the maroon one up here eventually. Be very promising. I think this is going to be a game that everybody that loves the Bulldogs, loves the Hogs, is going to hate because they know that they probably deserve to win this one, and someone's got to come up short. Taylon Green's the best player on the field, but Taylon Green has also shown me time and time again, like a 2 a.m. cigarette, it can come back to bite you. You wake up and you got the dry heaves in the morning, the cotton mouth. That's like having 2 interceptions after having 2 touchdowns to go ahead and take a 14-point lead, including a pick 6. I think that when you look at this overall offensive identity, there are a lot of things to like about the ground game on both sides, but one team is known for making mistakes and fumbling the ball. The other one doesn't make those type of critical mistakes. So it's going to be, I think, one of those games that truly does come down to who can find a way to give it up at the last second and provide an opportunity for the other team to score. Mississippi State's done it multiple weeks. They gave up a big interception against Florida that we still don't talk enough about. The overtime loss to Tennessee that we don't talk about enough. There's been moments to where they felt like they had it and then they didn't. And Arkansas, the exact same thing. And I do not have a good gauge on this game. I don't. So, ladies and gentlemen, when you don't have a good gauge on this game, you leave it up to fate. Here's a quarter. Here's the heads. Here's the tails. Everybody see it? Good. We're leaving it up to chance. Heads, I'm going Arkansas. Tails, I'm going Mississippi State. The winner of this game is going to find a way to mess it on up and call it in the air. Mississippi State, congratulations on getting your first win in conference play. Tails it is. Tails never fails. I was riding with Mississippi State to begin with. Anyways, Mississippi State, they find a way to get the job done. Jeff Lebby, the fruits of your labor eventually prevail. It's going to be ugly. I'm going to go something big. I'm going to go 45-41. I'm going to go big and say somehow, some way, this is a high-scoring affair. Taylon Green, you let me down again. You're the 2 a.m. cigarette after a shot of tequila. Probably not a good idea to mix those two together. Congratulations, Mississippi State. And by the way, when inevitably you lose, you don't blame me. You blame the fates because it could have landed on heads. It said tails.
Blame the football gods. They decided that flip of the coin. Wow. Going to be a fun one Saturday in Fayetteville. You going with fate or not? What do you think? Arkansas, Mississippi State. Who gets their first SEC win at Razorback Stadium on Saturday afternoon? Guys, it's going to do all for us. We appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in before we get out of here. Do want to tell you about our friends over at FanDuel because, as always, we are brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel's got an offer you don't want to miss this NFL season. New customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets. If you win, that's right, pick a bet $5. If it wins, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use all across the app. You can build parlays, bet player props, ride the live lines, whatever your style, FanDuel's got you covered. The NFL season's here. College basketball's around the corner. Of course, we're in full swing with college football, NHL, NBA, World Series are going on. Guys, you name it. Pick your sport, whatever you want to bet on. The only question is, are you ready to play? Visit FanDuel.com/SECU to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Once again, FanDuel.com/SECU to get in on the action today. Guys, once again, that's going to do all for us. We appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. As always, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube. Check us out wherever you get your podcasts, all across your favorite social media platforms, as well as our website, SECUnfiltered.com. Till next time, he's Cole the Bear Thompson. I'm Chris Phillips. We're signing off. Y'all have a great rest of your day. We'll talk to you all on the other side.